the pain like.
Hey guys, dearyoongi here, and welcome back to my channel. I can't believe I'm actually getting to say this, but we recently reached 10,000 subscribers here on my channel. I don't think words can express how grateful I am, but thank you all so much for all your support. I honestly appreciate it so much. So to celebrate hitting 10k, I thought now was as good a time as any to finally do my first Q&A question and answer, because I've never done one before and I've always wanted to. So in true dearyoongi style, I posted a Google form to my community tab. You guys know I love a Google form, asking you guys to submit some questions for me to answer in this video. The Google form wasn't up for too long because I wanted to make sure I included everybody's, so I'm sorry if you guys didn't get a chance to send anything. You're more than welcome to either leave more questions for me in the comments, or maybe I could do this again sometime. Okay, I'm determined to get through all of them in this video no matter how long this video gets, so let's get into it. First question we have is, if you were to choose only one group to listen to for the rest of your life, who would it be? Oh, this is a good question. There are a few groups I'm choosing between here who I think have strong enough discographies where I could never get bored, and I'd also have plenty of music to choose from on any given day, you know? So I'm gonna have to say either 17, who are probably one of my alt boy groups at the moment, or maybe somebody like BTS or EXO, who have years of not only title tracks, but also B-sides that I really love and never get tired of. Next question we have says, do you sometimes feel like you need to take a break from K-pop? That it gets overwhelming? I mean, in social media. I'm glad somebody said this because it's a really interesting topic. I definitely think I have had that feeling before, where I catch myself like really in my feelings, and when you're as into K-pop as K-pop stans like me can be sometimes, it's very easy to let topics either take over your day and cloud your judgment. I think for me, when I notice that I'm not enjoying something like I used to, or like you say, if I feel K-pop is getting overwhelming for whatever reason, then yes, I definitely do think, right, this is my cue to just step back for a little bit. Social media is actually one of the biggest culprits for this. I think especially spaces like Twitter and nowadays TikTok too, where the algorithm can be so full of negativity sometimes. It can feel like that's all you're seeing, and it does get too much sometimes. Back before I was doing K-pop YouTube, I remember there being an occasion years ago where I actually had to put myself on like Stan Twitter hiatus. I had been on Stan Twitter for years, and I started to notice that not only was it taking over my life, it wasn't taking over my life in a positive way, and I wasn't getting any enjoyment out of it anymore. All I was getting was hate from other fandoms, getting into arguments that I never really would in the real world, with people who are just nasty and lashing out behind the comfort of anonymity, behind the screen, who knew nothing about my life or me. If you ever feel yourself in a similar situation or feeling in a similar way, there is absolutely no shame in feeling like you need a break from K-pop or K-pop social media. In fact, I think it's the complete opposite of shameful. I think it's really brave and strong to know when you and yourself need a break. Okay, next question we have says, which post IZ*ONE soloist and group is your favourite? I think my favourite IZ*ONE group is definitely more of a toughie to kind of give. I do really like IVE and LE SSERAFIM at the moment, but I don't know if I could choose between them. I think both of these groups are absolute giants in 4th gen, and they're only going to keep growing more and more, which makes me so happy. I think they really deserve it. They're so talented. Okay, sorry, I need to stop sitting on the fence. I am going to say my favourite post IZ*ONE group is LE SSERAFIM, but I promise that's like almost a tie. As for my favourite post IZ*ONE soloist, I'm definitely going to go with Eunbi. I really love her style as a soloist. I think it really suits her, and I really like the direction that her music's going in. Next question. Are you a fan of Woods? Yes, I am. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about him. I do really like Woods. He's very talented. I love his solo music. I actually used to be a fan of Unique back in the day, which is the group he was a member of, for those who don't know, before he was in X1. I think Lullaby by Woods was one of my favourite songs last year. I was binging that. So I definitely recommend that song if you're just getting into him. Or his recent comeback with the song Journey, I'd recommend that too. I know there's been some whispers of him doing a tour. I did see something about that, but I am patiently waiting for those European tour dates because I'll definitely be trying to attend. The next question we have says, if you were to create a special unit composed of any idols in the industry, who would they be and what concept or sound would you imagine for them? This is an excellent question, and I promise I'm not trying to get out of answering it, but hear me out. I am going to tease my answer a little bit because this is actually a video idea I had for future, creating my own like Super M style supergroup, but with idols across different companies. Mini story time, I had started planning this video, but I had a nightmare with my phone the other week. and I had to factory reset it, meaning I lost all my phone notes, which is devastating for me because that's where I plan my videos. So I had so many video plans and ideas drafted up in there, this one included, that are now gone. Before anyone says, why wasn't your phone synced to the cloud? It wasn't. I'm stupid, okay, and now I'm paying the price. So I will definitely aim to make a full video on this topic at some point. I'm sorry I can't answer in full yet, but I can give some hints as to where the video is going. I am debating whether or not to make it a co-ed group or maybe a boy group and then a girl group separately. For the concept, which is the thing I'm like most certain on, the group would have like a classy but dark concept. I'm thinking like make them look expensive but also mysterious. Does that make sense? I'm a sucker for the girl crush concepts and pop and colour and pink and all that, but I'm also very into villains and like dystopia. So I'm picturing a little bit of like Vix but make it 4th gen, you know? I basically want a whole group centered around the concept of 17's song Fear because I adored it so much and I'd love to see a more mature take on that in 4th gen because a lot of 4th gen groups I feel are really young, so I'm trying to bring back some of like the older class, you know? As for the members, you'll have to stay tuned for the video. I'm still trying to decide if it's going to be boy group, girl group or co-ed. I'm sorry, I know that's so annoying of me to like answer but barely answer, but I want to properly think about this and put together a really good video on it. I hope that's something you guys would love to see because I would love to do it. Okay, next up, who is the most promising rookie group at the moment in your opinion? I know a lot of people will have different ideas on who this should be, that's completely okay, but for me, I think the most promising rookie group at the moment is Purple Kiss. I know some people wouldn't class them as rookies anymore because they've been around for a little bit now, but they still haven't reached their full peak potential yet as far as I'm concerned, and they're very much a 4th gen powerhouse, so I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about them. I hope that's okay. Purple Kiss for me have everything we're looking for in a 4th gen girl group. They're a 6-member group with an unbelievable vocal line, great dancers, and one of very few female idol rapper producers in the industry at the moment. They started off with a bang with such a solid debut and clear concept, and since then they've only gotten stronger and proven that they're going to keep getting better and better with time. I have really high hopes for them and their future. I think they've got off to such a great start, and I'm so excited to see where they go from here. Next question, do you think the 5th gen has already started? No, I do not. I think this may have come from something I shared on Twitter recently, or it could be a complete coincidence, I don't know. But basically, I saw a tweet talking about the impact a new girl group debuting the label said that they were going to have on 5th gen. And I was like, is this 5th gen in the room with us right now? To be fair, I'm guessing the company are trying to say that they are the future, and the lines have already been a bit blurry in terms of what the cut-off years are for each generation starting and ending. But I think as far as I'm concerned, we're very much still in the 4th gen with at least a couple of years to go before we even start to think about moving into the 5th generation of K-pop. I think 4th gen started in like 2018, 2019-ish. So we've got a couple more years to ride this one out before we're done and we move on to the next generation. Our next question is asking, any song recommendations out of what you enjoy right now? Oh, thank you for asking. I've been really loving Super by 17 recently. It's such a catchy song, and I find myself just playing it on loop, like if performances come up in my YouTube suggestions. On a similar point of being super catchy, Love Me Like This by NMIX, I've got to include that one. I really enjoy the choreography, so that kind of has me playing it a lot. And I'm still not over Raw by The Boys. That is an absolute bop that really took me by surprise this year, and I never really ever skip this song if it comes on shuffle, so I'm going to recommend those 3. The next question we have says, how do you manage your personal life with creating YouTube content and get the motivation for it? And how did you find your personal style in both content and editing wise? By the way, congrats on getting engaged. These are great questions. First off, I'll start by saying yes. For those who don't know, I don't really talk about my personal life a heck of a lot on here, but I guess I could. I did recently get engaged to my partner in Paris. Thank you so much for the well wishes. I really appreciate it and I'm really excited. To answer your questions, juggling a personal life with creating YouTube content is definitely something I have struggled with in the past, especially last year where I had a few bereavements in my personal life, and as much as I wanted to create content, sometimes life does get in the way. I'm very eager to get content out there regularly, but I do also work a full-time job throughout the week, and my job is very mentally draining and exhausting. So I very often find myself at the end of a work day where I had initially planned to work on a video in the evening, just not wanting to do anything other than lie down by the time I get home from work. I think what really helps me is the fact I do genuinely enjoy creating videos, like that's not a lie. But also, not to sound too cringe, but the viewers do help me a lot. It makes me so happy when I upload something that I maybe wasn't sure on, or maybe after I've been gone for a while thinking, oh, is anyone gonna care that I'm back? And I see people in the comments excited to see that I uploaded, people whose names I see quite regularly who always support and comment on my content, or even new faces that I've never seen before. It makes me so happy to see any of that engagement. So if I'm having a really tough day because of work, I won't push myself in the evening to work on a video that day. I give myself the evening to relax, or maybe even just a few hours. And then what I usually find is giving myself that time to refresh just makes me even more excited to get back to it and get working on something. As for finding my personal style content-wise, I always knew I didn't want to be somebody who just is rude and horrible to idols to get views. That is not who I am at all. I'm quite the talker, as you may or may not have noticed, so essay style content really suits me, and I like being insightful and actually thinking and being creative rather than just, being an arse for fun. Finding my own editing style is actually something I've always struggled with too, more so because I think the options are endless with modern editing systems. I don't use an extremely expensive software, but there is a lot you can do with it, and I'm not gonna lie, I still feel like to this day, I don't really have much of a distinct editing style, or not as much as I'd like to anyway. And when I go to start editing a video, I'll be honest, the thing that takes me the longest is deciding how I want the video to look. I spend a lot of time deciding on my editing style or theme for each video, which makes the editing process so much longer. That's a me problem. Sorry, I'm a rambler. Next question. You guys aren't ready for this. Hi, it's me. I'm the guy who made you audibly gasp. Will I ever get that chance again? I'm not sure about gasp, but this definitely made me laugh the first time I heard it. I hope that helps. This took me a second to understand, but I'm actually going to answer this because I think I know what you mean. I'm guessing this one is based on a video I did previously where I asked you guys to send me something on a Google form, and when I read yours aloud, I said that made me audibly gasp, because I remember saying that. Am I right? So I'm going to take this on as normal a route as I can answer, and instead I'm going to interpret that you're asking when I will next do a Google form related video where you can submit me things. I do love doing videos that involve my viewers or answering your questions or suggestions, like right now, so I definitely will be doing more of these in future when I can think of interesting topics. So stay tuned. Did I do good? Did I sidestep that well? Moving on to the next question. What's the most memorable or impactful comeback you've experienced since you became a K-pop fan? This is an interesting question. It made me actually think, because I've been into K-pop for a while now, but what comebacks really left a mark on me? I think I can think of a couple. So first up, I Need You and then Dope by BTS. This one I'd say is memorable for me because it was my first comeback with them as a full stan or army, so I was so excited. I actually remember clear as day seeing the concept photos come out and trying to interpret the story and being so excited, so pumped. It was the first time I was going to get to celebrate a comeback with them and the fandom. I felt like involved, Another comeback that I seem to have imprinted in my head is A Few Years Later by Block B. So I got into K-pop in 2014, and just after I got into K-pop, Block B came back with their song Her. I fell in love with them immediately, but then they kind of disappeared for a couple of years, so you can imagine how upset I was to get into a group and then them be gone. This had happened to me before with 21, but then when we heard they were coming back, ironically, a few years later with the song A Few Years Later, I remember how emotional we all were. I think I was like a blubbering mess watching the music video, and then my bias PO got my favourite part in the song. I was a wreck, it was a whole thing, but it was really special to see a group you had suspicions were on indefinite hiatus come back, and I think those sorts of comebacks are always so special and memorable. Next question is, what's your top 3 K-pop albums? No lie, I'm actually listening to a song from one of these albums as we speak. That album is EXID's Street, which is the album with the title track Lie. Every song on this album is a no skip for me. I love them all. Another one of my top K-pop albums comes from none other than EXO. EXO for me honestly used to be one of those untouchable groups when it came to B-sides. I always talk about this, I'm sorry, I feel like a broken record, but their B-sides are usually always title track worthy. So the EXO album I want to include on this list is a throwback, but it's EXO's first album, XOXO. This is the album with the title tracks Growl and Wolf on, but also really iconic B-sides like Black Pearl, Heart Attack, Let Out the Beast, and so many more. It's hard to narrow this down to just 3, but the third album I'll put on this list is Heartfelt's album 1719. For those who don't know, Heartfelt is Yeon of Wonder Girls, and her solo music is honestly top tier. I love her so much as a soloist, and this album features songs such as Life Sucks, which is about her personal family struggles, and then Sweet Sensation, which is like a really uplifting listen. So I definitely recommend both those songs, but also, if you have time to check out the whole album, you won't regret it. Our next question is, any other interests except K-community? I always worry answering things like this because I don't want you guys to know this, but I'm honestly very boring. I do really enjoy traveling and experiencing different aspects of other cultures. I don't think I'll be able to do more of it in the future for much longer because I am saving up for a house. Adulting is gross, isn't it? Don't do it, guys. Some of my favorite places I've been to are Reykjavik in Iceland, and of course I visited Seoul, South Korea. Traveling's expensive. Aside from that, I do really enjoy the drag community, so I watch a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race, go to drag shows when I can. I'm super into fashion, I always have been. I just don't really have the money to dress as good as I'd like to, but I do love all sorts of fashion related things. And I know this may sound a little bit more random, but more recently I've actually been quite into wrestling too. Watching it, not doing it. I used to do martial arts when I was younger and attended quite regularly like fight nights, so I think my new interest in watching wrestling may be a bit of that coming back. I found a way to incorporate my love for Drag Race into a video when I did my K-pop songs that could be Drag Race lip sync songs video, but I haven't quite figured out how to incorporate wrestling into my videos yet. That might be a bit too niche. Maybe I could do a video on K-pop songs that could be WWE entrance songs. I don't know. Before I come up with any more bad video ideas, let's move on to the next question. Which groups, boy and girl, do you believe have untouchable discographies? Okay, I didn't know this question was coming when I was raving on about EXO before. I didn't realize I was answering a future question, but considering we're here now, for boy groups, I definitely want to shout out EXO for just somehow having album after album full of bangers. I never feel like there's filler tracks with them. As for girl groups, I'm actually a bit torn here between My Queen's Mamamoo or maybe Weki Meki, because Weki Meki are actually one of very few groups where I can honestly say I have loved and actively gone back to listen to every title track again. I don't really blast their B-sides very often though, so that might be why I'll go with Mamamoo, but I will also say Purple Kiss are snapping at the bit, and in future I think I'll definitely be saying them when they start to release more and more music, because everything they've released so far, every EP, has been full of not only great title tracks comeback after comeback, but also very solid B-sides too. Next up, what is one thing that will get you to unstan a group or artist? Ooh, interesting. I don't think I've ever unstanned a full group because I don't like when one idol's poor actions reflects on the rest of the group who may have genuinely had no idea. I have unstanned artists or members of groups who have turned out to be horrible people, like genuine racists, homophobes, transphobes, sexists, etc. Those sorts of things will make me drop somebody instantly. Other things that would get me to unstan an artist in an instant is crime? I know that sounds dumb. You know what I mean, right? If an artist thinks it's okay to drink drive, that's absolutely not okay with me. Touching people without their consent, of course these all go without saying, nobody should be supporting those sorts of people, but yeah, I can and have dropped artists instantly over those sorts of things in the past. Our next question is, what has been your favourite K-pop live experience? I will admit I have been very fortunate and have gotten to see a lot of my faves live. Not all of them, unfortunately. There are definitely some big stones left unturned who I need to see live. 17. But I think out of all my concert experiences, I'll have to say the BTS Love Yourself tour where I saw them in London stands out as one of my favourites. I was VIP for this concert and my friend and I managed to get barricade, and this was an experience like nothing I've ever seen before. I've never ever dreamt in all my time of being an ARMY that I would have actually gotten that close to the boys, and even now looking back, being that close to them feels like such a fever dream. I can't believe I lived that, you know, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I do have a few other honourable mentions. Another one that springs to mind is when I saw Jisoo last year, because I love his music so much, his voice blows me away, and the concert was in my home city. I normally have to travel to London, which is a few hours away, and this concert was on my birthday weekend. He liked my tweet after the concert about how mind-blown I was, and the whole experience just felt really special. Or, I have another one, sorry, maybe when I got to see Super M, simply because of Taemin and his solo stage. At the London show, he performed Danger, which is one of my favourite songs by him, and I genuinely never ever, in all my time as a K-pop stan, expected that I would ever get to see that song live. It was like surreal for me. When it was over, I couldn't believe it had actually happened and that he was really there in front of me. I was like, pinch me. And then that was the last concert I attended before the COVID lockdowns too, so it sticks in my mind even more. And last but certainly not least, this question says, do you have a favourite Tom and Jerry pair in K-pop? This is such a fun question. I love that we're ending on this this one. The first power Tom and Jerry duo that sprung to mind for me is SHINee's Key and Minho. The way they bicker like an old married couple is just absolutely hilarious to me. I love seeing their relationship on that TV show, I can't remember which one it was, where Minho was at Key's place waiting for him to get ready so they could go out, and Key was just like dawdling, taking his sweet time to get ready, and then said he was going to do the washing, and Minho was just like, no, go get ready, and then ended up doing the washing and cleaning for him. Iconic. I think we also can't mention Tom and Jerry duos without mentioning 17, and the funniest thing is I always feel like these involve Hoshi and someone else. You've got Hoshi and Mingyu whenever they play the Mafia game, just wanting to get each other out the game, but then we also have how competitive Hoshi and Sungkwan end up getting whenever they're in games together, and it's so funny to watch. Honestly, I love all of 17's chemistry with each other, but as far as Tom and Jerry back and forth duos go, these have got to be the top ones for me. Okay, and that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for everybody who sent me a question, and thank you again so much for 10,000 subscribers. Honestly, it means so much to me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let's have a chat in the comments. Do you have any other questions or want to share your thoughts on the answers to these one? I'm all ears. If you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, and if you turn on the notification bell, you should be the first to hear whenever I upload. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys!